Before we move into today's session, do not forget to like the video, share it with your friends, subscribe the channel and turn on the bell notification. Second paper of Foreign Service Examination deals with governance system, which include state and governance, constitution and law, public service and public management, resource management and planning. The agenda for today is state and governance. We are going to study about the origin of governance, concepts relating to governance, objectives of governance, and characteristics of governance. Before we move into the term governance, we have to understand these two basic terms, state and government, राज्य र सरकार. Governance पढ्दै जाँदा एकदमै युज हुन्छ state and government भन्ने term. Similar भनेर युज गरिरहेको हुन्छ, but these are two completely different terms. State is the highest form of social and human institution. It has 5 essential elements: population, territory, government, sovereignty, and international recognition. Population: every state has people living in there. There is no existence of state without the existence of people. मान्छे नै छैन भने कसलाई govern गर्ने? The next one is territory. Every state has its own definite geographical boundary. People need fixed and permanent territory to live and organize them socially and politically. The next one is government. People occupying definite territory cannot form a state unless they are politically organized. So they need the body of elected representative who have legitimacy, power, and authority to make and enforce rules and laws in a state. So there must be government to form a state. The next one is sovereignty, सार्वभौम सत्ता, which means all states in principle are free from interface of outsider in their domestic affairs. हस्तक्षेप हुनु भएन बाहिरी शक्तिबाट. So it is one of the important elements of state. The next one is international recognition. Recent literatureहरुमा र new scholarsहरुले चाहिँ international recognition पनि one of the basic elements of state को भन्छ. के हो यो international recognition भनेको? It is the recognition of sovereign status of new state by other states. We live in such intricate and complex time where acknowledgement from others offers validity on someone's claim of being as such. Therefore, it is considered as one of the important elements of state. आफ्नो भनेर claim गर्नको लागि अरूको validity को requirement हुन्छ यो complex global phenomenon मा. त्यही भएर international recognition पनि one of the important element हो state को. State भन्ने बुझ्यौ नि अब. State भनेको के हो? It is a group of people living in a specified area enjoying their own sovereignty under the rule of government which is recognized by international communities. अब government भनेको के हो? It is one of the element of state. It is the political organization of a state. It is authority exercising entity. It is the body of elected representatives that have legitimacy, power, and authority to make and enforce rules and laws in a state to maintain peace and order. Governance. We use this term quite often in our daily occurrences, isn't it? Whenever we see bad condition of roads or encounter with corrupt official, or there is no water in our taps, even after bestowed with abundant water resources, जल स्रोतको धनी देश हुँदा हुँदै पनि धारामा पानी आएन भने, we often say such a bad governance. यसरी bad governance भनेर हामी के गर्छौं त भन्दा? We blame Nepal government for such poor service and bad governance. Even though we have used it many times, but when someone asks, we falter to define governance. We cannot give the specific definition of governance because धेरै टर्महरु जोइन हुन्छ governance सँग accountability, decision making, regulatory, rule, control, and we are confused. Governance भनेको के हो त खासमा? So let us know what is this governance. Let us understand about governance through this example. Have you heard about Global Sanitation Fund Program GSF? No. त्यसो भए नेपाल खुला दिशामुक्त घोषणा भएको त थाहा छ होला सबलाई. के हो त यो? बुझौं ब्याकग्राउन्ड. GSF भनेको it is the combined initiation of government of Nepal and UN Habitat which was started in 2010. यो प्रोग्राम कसरी सुरु भयो त भन्दा नेपालमा large number of people were deprived of basic sanitation facilities and lacked hygiene behavior. यसले गर्दा यो seasonal diseasesहरु ढाडा पखाला डेंगूले गर्दा धेरै मान्छेहरुको डेथ हुन्थ्यो. So, in order to adopt basic sanitation service and become ODF nation, government in coordination with UN Habitat started this program. अब यसरी बुझौं. प्रब्लमहरुले गभर्नमेन्टलाई ट्रिगर गर्यो पोलिसी बनाउन बेसिक स्यानिटेसन अचिभ गर्ने पोलिसी बनाउन ट्रिगर गर्यो त्यसैले सरकारले स्यानिटेसन मास्टर प्लान बनायो. अब यो प्रोग्रामलाई इम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्न गभर्नमेन्टले सुरुमा अवेयरनेस क्रिएट गर्नु पर्यो पब्लिकहरुमा. त्यसको लागि सबै स्टेकहोल्डरलाई इन्गेज गर्यो. सेन्ट्रल गभर्नमेन्ट पनि, लोकल गभर्नमेन्ट, गाउँ विकास समिति, आमा समूह, कम्युनिटी ग्रुप, स्वयंसेवक, इभन धुर्मुसुन्तलीहरुलाई सरसफाई दूत बनाएर मिडियाहरुमा एकदमै इन्गेजमेन्ट गर्यो. यसरी स्यानिटेसन मुभमेन्ट सुरु भयो नेशनल वाइड. सायद नेपालको इतिहासमा सबैभन्दा सफल प्रोग्राम हो यो. यो प्रोग्राम सफल भएर नै 30 सेप्टेम्बर 2019 मा नेपाल फुल ओडीएफ नेसन डिक्लेयर भयो. अब यो एक्जाम्पल त बुझ्यौ. अब गभर्नेन्स कसरी बुझ्ने त भन्दा गभर्नेन्स भनेको all the process mechanism that leads to policy making and implementation of the policies. पोलिसी बनाउन र त्यसको प्रपर इम्प्लिमेन्टेसन गर्नको लागि जे प्रोसेस मेकानिजम हुन्छ त्यसलाई नै गभर्नेन्स भन्छन्. यो सबै किन गरिन्छ त भन्दा कन्ट्रीमा रिसोर्सेसहरु हुन्छ ह्युमन क्यापिटल फाइनान्शियल सबै रिसोर्सहरुलाई मोबिलाइज गर्नु पर्यो. स्टेक होल्डरको पार्टिसिपेसन पनि इन्स्योर गर्नु पर्यो. सबै एक्टरहरुलाई इन्भल्भ गराउनु पर्यो. यो सबै किन गरिन्छ इन्स्योर इफिसिएन्ट एन्ड इफेक्टिभ सर्भिस डेलिभरी पब्लिकहरुलाई छिटो र छरितो सर्भिस पुर्याउनको लागि. यो सबै कामहरु केमा बेस हुन्छ त भन्दा एग्रीड रुल्स एन्ड प्रिन्सिपल्स. सो गभर्नेन्स भनेको के भयो त भन्दा all the process that leads to policy making and its proper implementation while mobilizing resources, structuring accountability, ensuring transparency of all institutional activity can be termed as governance. अर्को definition हेर्दै जाँदा it is a way a government chooses to engage in activities backed up by goals where actions are structured, sustained and regulated and held accountable through a set of agreed values, rules, principles to efficiently run the affairs of a country in favor of people. यो दुवै definitionहरु you can write in your examination. They are the best definition. In old times, government and governance were used synonymously. Same भनेर use हुन्थ्यो. So are they same? The answer is big no. Previously, governance and government were used to denote the management of public affairs, but over the years, there has been shift in the ideology. After World War II, many countries were involved in reconstruction. There was the vast devastation of economy, ultimately leading to the market failure. Government को narrow scope that was to control and rule didn't work. So its scope widened to stretching and managing. That means coordinating and managing. So government scope change भयो. Narrow traditional scope देखि management र coordination मा यसरी governance को evolve भयो concept. So we can say concept of governance evolved when the well-established notion of government failed to solve the national issues or problem through top-down approach. Let's see the difference between government and governance based on different dimensions. यो question exam मा पनि एकदमै सोध्छ. So let's see कुन कुन dimension मा government र governance differ गर्छ. Let's see definition wise. Government is the name given to the entity exercising that authority. It is the body of elected representatives to run the affairs of the country. And governance, it is the process of making policies and continuous monitoring of their proper implementation, as well as exercise of power or authority for the well-being of their country's citizens or subjects. So talking about the participants, in government there is clearly defined participant linked to the state, that is public institution. And in governance there are multi-level stakeholders. Public institution नि हुन्छ, प्राइभेट institution नि हुन्छ, नन स्टेट एक्टर्सहरू हुन्छ जस्तै एनजिओहरू भयो, मिडिया भयो, सिभिल सोसाइटी भयो. So these are different participants. Talking about the process, government has formal institution and procedures to ensure service delivery. But governance, it's evolving and ongoing process. With pace of time, it changes. Talking about the division of power, in government, there is top-down approach. That power follows from top to the bottom. But in governance, it's multi-layer. Power is divided equally among the different actors. And talking about decision making, government follows linear model. Straightforward हुन्छ, hierarchy of chain हुन्छ, chain of command follow गर्छ decision making मा. And in governance, it's network model. Engagement हुन्छ, हरेक stakeholdersहरूको input पनि लिन्छ, feedback पनि लिन्छ र एउटा decision मा arrive हुन्छ in governance. And talking about the change, government can be changed through constitutional process. संवैधानिक process बाट government change हुन सक्छ. But governance, it's a philosophy, it's a idea, so it changes over the time. When public comes to strike, band or revolution after disagreement, अथवा केही चित्त बुझेन भने जब पब्लिक बन्द or strike मा आउँछ तब governance को philosophy change हुन्छ. Talking about the scope, government rules and controls, but governance, its scope widens from rules and control to orchestrating and managing, coordinating and managing मा scope change हुन्छ. And talking about the democratic process, government is representative, elected bodyहरूले represent गर्ने हो त्यो power authority exercise गर्नको लागि. But the governance, it's participatory, it engages all the actors, all the people irrespective of their backgrounds, inclusive हुनुपर्छ, participatory हुनुपर्छ. Decision making मा, power division मा, सबैमा त्यसरी नै democratic process participatory हो भन्न मिल्छ governance मा. So these are few basic dimensions on which government and governance differs. Now let's talk about the origin of governance. कहाँबाट सुरु भयो त governance को concept? Let's go back to the beginning of human civilization. Governance is as old as human civilization. Idea of governance, human civilization जहिलेदेखि सुरु भयो त्यही बेलादेखि सुरु भयो, but in different notion, various different terms were used. तर जहिलेदेखि मानव सभ्यताको सुरु भयो governance को evolution त्यो टाइमदेखि भयो है. So the governance emerged during the origin of state and government. राज्य र सरकार जुन टाइमदेखि सुरु भयो governance पनि त्यो टाइममा थियो यसको origin, तर different notion मा use हुन्थ्यो. Its meaning had long overlapped with the word government and was mainly used to refer administrative and political activities relating to national public affairs. If we see word-wise, governance derives from the Greek verb gouvernein, meaning to stir. चलाउनु भन्छ नि, governance को उत्पत्ति चाहिँ त्यो word देखि भएको थियो. Metaphorical sense मा चाहिँ प्लेटोले पहिले use गरेको भनेको छ. When he spoke about public administration should be people centered हुनुपर्छ भनेर, प्रशासनिक सबै कार्यहरू जनतामुखी हुनुपर्छ भनेर जब उनले भने त्यसपछि governance को evolution भएको हो भन्छ metaphorical sense मा. And then there comes Auguste Comte, which said governance should be done as per the constitution. Let's see in a timeline view how the concept and notion of governance had changed over the world and when was the first word governance used, कसरी यो emergence भयो the concept हेरमै timeline view मा. In first 1215 AD, there was the emergence of democratic governance. The King John of England, he issued a royal charter of rights called Magna Carta, which states right of church to be free from government interference, the right of all free citizens to own and inherit property, and to be protected from excessive taxes. यसरी अलिकति governance democratic form मा change भएर democratic governance को concept emerge भयो. Then after 1628 AD मा there was the Declaration of Rights, which means The Petition of Rights were passed, which mentioned about the specific individual protection against the state and constitutional supremacy. People should elect their representative, parliament should make law, and everyone should follow it. No one is above the law भन्ने concept सुरु गर्यो. constitution नै सबैभन्दा ठुलो कुरो हो. constitution maker भन्दा पनि constitution ठुलो भनेर individual right protect गर्ने एउटा declare भयो petition of rights. The next one is 1688 Bill of Rights. Bill of Rights, it is a landmark act in the constitutional law of England which lays down the limits of power of the monarch and set out the right of parliament, including requirement for regular parliament meetings, free elections and freedom of speech in parliament. के भयो त भन्दा किङदेखि पार्लियामेन्टमा सरकारको अधिकारहरू अथोरिटी पावरहरू पास भयो. यसरी बिल अफ राइटलाई पनि one of the important इभेन्ट मान्न सकिन्छ. कसरी गभर्नेन्सको ओरिजिन चेन्ज हुँदै आएको छ भनेर. And then 1885 AD, A.V. Diceyले rule of law भन्ने कुराको बारेमा भने. Law is the supreme than government and private person. Rule of law has three basic elements. No one should be punished by the state except for distinct breach of law established by ordinary proceedings. Law should apply to all persons equally regardless of any person's rank or condition. Legal rules must be enforced by the court. भनेको लॉ नै सबैले मान्नुपर्छ भनेर लॉको सुप्रिमेसी देखाइयो. यो चाहिँ 1885 मा भयो. यसरी गभर्नेन्समा लॉ बेस्ड हुन पर्छ. पीपल शुड फलो रुल्स भनेर यो कन्सेप्ट युज भयो. And then in 1887 there is the time of American freedom. In order to integrate the Indian origins into mainstream American system, there was the revolution, so which fueled the democratic governance system in America. Welcome to the land of freedoms भनेर एउटा टर्म युज भएको छ. यसरी अमेरिकामा फ्रीडम स्थापना भयो र डेमोक्रेटिक गभर्नेन्स सिस्टमको सुरुवात भयो. इन 1989 के भयो त यसमा वर्ल्ड ब्याङ्कको रिपोर्टको कुरा छ. When trying to sum up what was happening in Africa in 1989, the World Bank used the term crisis in governance for the first time. Since then, governance as a word has been widely used in political development studies. भनेपछि World Bank ले 1989 मा अफ्रिकामा भइरहेको सिचुएसन डिस्क्राइब गर्न क्राइसिस इन गभर्नमेन्ट भन्ने शब्द युज भएपछि अहिले यो गभर्नेन्स भन्ने टर्म एकदम पपुलराइज भएको हो. Whenever we talk about governance concept, we have to think from three different perspectives. Let's see what are these three different perspectives. Traditional, modern, and emerging concept. What are included? Let's see. Traditional. In past days, governance was used synonymously with government, signifying the exercise of authority over a territory or in an institution or a state. Governance was confined to authoritative direction and control, rule of law, people-centered public administration, instrument of public affair management, and parliamentary government system. But at present, governance is a broader notion than government. It has over the years gained momentum and wider meaning. Apart from being an instrument of public affairs management, governance has become the useful mechanism to enhance the legitimacy of public realm. There must be interaction among different stakeholders. There is a shift from centralized, uniform, top-down service delivery to decentralized, diverse, localized service delivery. There is a mechanism for holding government accountable. Policy making is also open and inclusive. Moreover, the concept of good governance has evolved at modern era because today's fast-paced globalized economy demands transparency, accountability, and responsiveness in government's actions and operations. Similarly, with the rapid development in information communication and technology and increasing application of IT, e-governance has emerged at present era. E-governance is the application of IT with the aim of enhancing government ability to address the needs of general public. So it's integration of IT in all processes, e-governance. We'll discuss about e-governance and Good governance, more in further lectures. Now it's time for valid definition from world organizations. The first being World Bank, which says governance is how power is exercised in the management of countries' economic and social resources for development. The next one is UNDP, which says governance is the exercise of economic, political, and administrative authority to manage a country's affairs at all levels. It comprises the mechanisms, process, and institution through which citizens and groups articulate their interests, exercise their legal rights, meet their obligations, and mediate their differences. Whenever we talk about the objective of governance, we must understand how those objectives are determined. It's the public need, general public need, that derives the need for governance. Let's see objectives. Political objectives. The first one being preserve national sovereignty. Governance must protect the national sovereignty of a state. Next one, reconcile national and global interest. In an increasingly integrated world where political and economic issues are deeply interrelated with each other, governance must focus on national interest, not forgetting to maintain good relationship with global stakeholders, maintaining the global interest. The next one is protection of basic human rights. Governance should promote human rights, dignity, and status. Governance must prevent private actors from violating the human rights of others. Similarly, ensure public welfare. Governance should provide efficient and effective service delivery, managing all the public affairs. Next one is maintain domestic order and tranquility. Governance must ensure peace, law, and order in a nation. At last, the political objective of governance is to ensure national identity, increase national pride in the international domain. The next one, social objectives. One of the main objectives of governance is to promote national unity, create harmony among all the stakeholders, all the people, irrespective of their caste, religion, culture, race in a nation. The next objective of governance is to reduce and root out all forms of social, racial, and cultural discrimination and inequality, thus maintaining harmony among all the groups of society, irrespective of caste, culture, race, religion, bringing all the people into mainstream, provide equal opportunity as well as service. The next one, economic objective. One of the economic objectives of governance is resource optimization, be it either human, capital, natural, or social resource. The governance system must ensure the full utilization of resources and at the same time utilize human resources and promote full employment, ensure basic development, and stabilize market, ultimately leading to economic prosperity and sustainable economic growth of a state. The last objective is administrative one. One of the main aims of governance is to manage public enterprise, engage all stakeholders, all actors, apply rule of law. That means no one is above law, law should apply to everyone equally, and managing all the public affairs to ensure efficient and effective public service delivery. So these are few objectives of governance. Fundamental aspects of governance, which means features or something relating to governance. Whenever we talk about the aspects of governance, there are two views, structural and subjective view. Let's see what are included in these two different views. The first one being a structural view. It includes citizens, people living in that nation, territory, fixed boundary, government, group of elected bodies to govern a state. Government bodies, different government organizations, legislative, judiciary and executive bodies of a nation. Constitutional bodies, member of parliaments. Political and administrative structures, different levels of governance such as central government, local government, etc. The next one is international organization, meaning WTO, World Bank, IMF, ADB and all these organizations. All these international organizations ensure or every nation should behave as per the basic principle like accountability, transparency and responsiveness in their governance activities. So these international organizations are very important aspects in governance. Let's see the subjective view, which includes constitution, which is above all the law and lawmaker. Balance of power, how power is distributed among the different bodies of a nation. Sovereignty, social law and equality, transparency, voice and accountability, and rule of law. All these are included in subjective view. Characteristics of governance, which give meaning to the governance. The first one being vision. Governance should have clear vision and destination about how a government should deliver public service and manage all its affairs. A vision to change the political, economic, social, cultural and scientific aspect of a state. A program and policy to achieve the changes falls under the vision. Second one, use of state power. State has all the power and resources to exercise the authority and rule, meaning शासन पछाडि राज्यको सबै स्रोत साधन लागेको हुन्छ. And the next one is coercive power. Governance मा coercive power हुन्छ. If someone acts against law or constitution, state has the power to punish or penalize them. Regulatory power. It's a power to regulate so that peace and security can be maintained. Based on people's expectations, government manage affairs, operations as per rule छ कि नै भनेर observe गर्ने power हुन्छ यो regulatory power मा. The next one is democratic political system, meaning that people have the right to alter or abolish the government if it becomes destructive or not working as per people's expectations. The next one, separation of power and balance of power. Every branch, legislative or executive or judiciary, has its own posture and limitations. They can bring other branches to right track if derailed. It helps to prevent anarchy. Citizens' supremacy, meaning that citizens are the primal focus. They have the supreme power. Citizens' importance. It means rule by majority but respect for minority people. The next one is representative system. Power is given to representative by a citizen via election to govern the state. Rule of law. Governance should be done via rule of law. No one should be above the law. The next one is division of authority. Authority to govern and make decision is divided among different branches of the government. Fair allocation of resources and power. States' resources should be fairly distributed among all the branches or bodies for proper execution of their operations. Establishment of civil rights. Governance should guarantee fundamental rights and human rights, protection and promotion of their status and dignity. Inclusive and participative development. Governance should relate to all public. It should bring backward and deprived into the mainstream and involve all in decision making. Political stability. For governance to be effective and efficient, create good environment, there should be stable government and no political insurgency. Preservation of human rights. Governance promotes human rights, dignity and status. Multilateral relations. There should be interaction among the actors. Governance should relate with private sector, social sector, international organizations, and neighbors. Is governance only limited to government? Of course no. कसरी एउटा एक्जाम्पलबाट बुझौँ है. सरकारले जब पुरै नेशनल हाइवेहरू कन्स्ट्रक्ट गर्ने अथवा त्यसलाई रिपेयर गर्ने कुनै डिसिजन लिन्छ गभर्नमेन्टले के आफै बनाउँछ त्यो रोड बनाउँदैन नि प्राइभेट सेक्टरलाई आउटसोर्स गर्छ नि भनेपछि कुन कुन स्टेक होल्डर्सहरु इन्गेज हुन्छन् लेट्स सी है गभर्नमेन्ट has to follow all the legal formalities administrative procedures take a decision so various civil servants at different level of government offices pressure groups medias and business firms are engaged we as a citizen also pay taxes and private sector build the road टेन्डर दिएर एउटा प्राइभेट सेक्टर एउटा प्राइभेट कम्पनीले के गर्छ त सबै रोडहरु कन्स्ट्रक्ट गर्छ भनेपछि कति धेरै एक्टर्सहरु इन्गेज भए लेट्स सी है अब गभर्नेन्स मा कतिवटा एक्टर हुन्छन् There are three actors state civil society and market and center मा चाहिँ citizen हो किनभने they are the primal focus ultimately governance को main aim भनेको के हो त enhance effective and efficient public service delivery कसलाई त citizen लाई let's see अब यो different actors हरुलाई individual basis मा state it includes different organ of government legislature judiciary and executive it consists of different segment of actors elected representatives political executive bureaucracy civil servants at different level and so on Civil society भनेको के हो त organization of people who are acting for a cause जस्तो non-governmental organization NGOs हरु voluntary organizations हरु media organizations associations trade union religious group pressure group जसले indirectly government लाई pressure create गर्छ The next one is market it includes private sector It includes business firm ranging from large corporate to small scale industries and even small shops market. So के बुझ्यौ त हामी गभर्नेन्स मा तीनवटा एक्टर छ स्टेट सिभिल सोसाइटी र मार्केट That's all. This is all for today's sessions. In next session we're going to discuss about good governance and e-governance. Keep learning, keep sharing, and keep growing. We'll meet in next session. Ta-da!